Excess salt consumption is probably killing more people than the obesity epidemic, according to peer-reviewed scientific journals. There is a linear view of health and health promotion that assumes that the more effort you put in, the more you get out. I'm going to show that this is a poor model to understand health choices, and that there are health issues that are exponentially more worth our time than others. This graph, taken from the book Effective Altruism, shows that some health interventions can be 500 times more effective than others. Yet funding and effort is still invested into projects that are relatively ineffective. I'm going to show that this is also true within the developed world. A study in the Lancet estimated that 13.8 million lives could be saved over 10 years by focusing on the most fertile grounds of health promotion: salt and smoking. But this study focused on government interventions and didn't take into account solutions available on the free market, which I would argue are much more powerful. This study estimated that 5.3 million lives could be saved by promoting the reduction of smoking. This did not anticipate the explosion of vaping and e-cigarettes. A more recent study suggests as much as 6.6 million lives could be saved in the US alone during the same time period due to smokers switching to vaping. Despite the initial high investment to switch to vaping actually saves smokers a lot of money very quickly. So by either switching to vaping yourself or encouraging smokers to, you have the ability to positively affect your community and make your contribution to the millions of lives that can be saved. The Lancet also estimated that 8.5 million lives could be saved over 10 years by reducing salt intake. This amounts to a life every 37 seconds. They again did not take into account an even more promising product already available on the open market: low salt. Low salt has not only been shown to reduce blood pressure instead of increasing it, the potassium chloride content actually softens arteries instead of hardening them. While vaping is taking off at high speed, low salt gets relatively little attention. Potassium chloride was shown to be effective in lowering blood pressure about 100 years ago, and yet it took 60 years for a company to make it available in supermarkets. Once low salt became available in the 80s, it slowly spread until it is now available in every continent. Potassium chloride is a cheap commodity. In fact, it is on the stock market for 22 cents per kg. It tastes exactly the same as normal salt, so almost no sacrifice is needed to switch to low sodium salt. I personally bought pure potassium chloride off of the internet and have about a gram every morning to offset my salt intake during the day. This cost me about 0.3 cents per day. The majority of focus in health within the public seems to be on weight. This is a relatively ineffective use of resources. First of all, smoking is killing much more people, and excess salt is probably killing more people also. Secondly, it is very hard to lose weight, and it is not even clear that losing weight has health benefits. Thirdly, the obesity epidemic seems to be decreasing of its own accord in developed nations, with the next generation of children weighing less than the previous. And fourthly, there is an oversaturation of health messages concerning weight already. So next time the discussion turns to health, try to steer the conversation towards either salt substitute or vaping. Within the developed nations, any other discussion is relatively futile. If these issues were focused on with the same fervor as losing weight, then millions of lives would be saved worldwide. The Lancet estimates 13.8 million could be saved via government interventions, but I think word of mouth and these free market solutions have much more potential. So let's triple that number to get 41.4 million. Then if we use that number to divide the number of people who were on the earth at the time the study was published, 7 billion, which gives you about 1 in every 169 people can be saved from death over a 10-year period. If you divide the amount of weeks you have in those 10 years by the number of people you need to reach to save one person, then you get 3.07 weeks. So if you can reach one person who would have otherwise not got this message every 3 weeks, then you should save a life in 10 years. If the person lives an extra 10 years, then you have broken even. You spent 10 years of your life, but gave 10 years to someone else. This is a fairly outrageous conclusion, and this is not taking into account that when you reach one person, they might talk to others and multiply the effect. The truth is, about 1 in every 3 deaths in a developed nation will be due to smoking or excess salt, so dividing by 3 would give you the potential lives saved. But dividing by 169 is about having a realistic view of how many will be saved. I used this analysis to try and figure out how many life years could be saved by advertising this video. If I only counted people who watched the entire video through, then I come to about 1,080 years per $1,000 spent. So you have a charity that is 500 times better than another at 10 life years per $1,000, and this video is potentially 100 times that. So you have a situation where one house investment is potentially 50,000 times more effective than another. This shows how warped our linear perception of health really is. I studied sports science and did a paper on community health, and vaping was never discussed. I did multiple papers in nutrition, and potassium chloride was never discussed. My nutrition lecturer was a smoker. My whole health education was about learning obscure facts that make you look smart, that have no real weight. No discussion was given to relative importance of health information, let alone a cost-benefit analysis. So that's why I decided to advertise this video, so thank you for watching.